yesterday morning. At least it was first reported about 7:30 in the morning. It was on the sandbank. When the high tide came in later in the afternoon, it was able to get itself out into the channel that was present at low tide, at high tide that filled in. As the tide went out, the animal tried to make its way out to the shoreline, but back out to the beach in the surf. It was pushed back by the waves. It wasn't either strong enough or wasn't able to find its way out to get past that surf zone. So subsequently on the next tide, low tide, it was restranded. So that was yesterday afternoon. Now the prime time, the best chance for this animal to have refloated itself out to go back out would have been this morning at a really high tide with our full moon. That was about 2 o'clock in the morning. But unfortunately it wasn't able to do that. So it was restranded, as you see in the bank, so a lot further in, about 100, 150 yards out from the shore when we showed up at 6 o'clock this morning. Now based on the size, this animal is about 21.9 feet. That makes it either an older calf that was born or just a very, very young weaned animal. And it's a very stressful time for these animals because they're getting off their mother's milk and now they're having to fend for themselves. And it's not always, unfortunately, successful for them. They can get sick, they can get injured. So based on the animal's size, its condition out here, and based on the less likelihood of being able to get itself back out on the next tide, high tide, which was going to be a lot lower than the one this morning, that we felt the right decision so that it would not suffer anymore is to humanely euthanize it. And so that's the decision that we've come to. And we work in authorization with NOAA, so we consult with them. We've consulted with experts on the East Coast that have worked with live stranded whales before. So we have come to the decision, it's a consensus that given the likelihood of this animal not being able to survive long term on its own, given this young age, that this would be the best decision for it. And if we were to try to refloat it, say we wanted to try another high tide, it would be at night, and that's going to be too dangerous for human conditions, for us to work in those conditions at night. Because these animals are very large, you can get injured, and they'll flail around if they're stressed or upset. So what we're going to do is we're going to erect a tent that you see behind us. We put that up, and we are going to put a tarp in. We have sedated the animal with a heavy sedative so that they don't feel the injection that the euthanasia solution is going to be put into them. But they'll be completely out, so they're not euthanized yet, but they're sedated. So they're almost anesthetized, and they're not really aware of what's going on around them. Because of the size of the animal, we do have to use a fairly large needle. We'll make an incision in the blubber, and then we're going to insert the needle. And so that's just going to give us an easy access to where we need to be to administer the euthanasia solution. And then what we'll do is we'll wait a few minutes, and then we'll monitor, look for any reflexes that maybe remain. So we have to make sure that those are all gone. That helps us assure we'll listen to the heart. And we're going to watch for any remaining respirations to stop. And so we'll wait for a good amount of time. Again, we're fighting the tide, so we have to make sure we want to make sure the animal is, completely gone. And then before we move it, we're going to do an autopsy on it a little bit later this afternoon. They'll move it up on the beach where we can do that and see what was wrong with this animal.
After the autopsy, what's the plan after that?
I believe the plan is to potentially bury it. I think that's what the plan is, so that we, don't have it sitting on the beach. So I'm up in Washington, and we just let them sit out. But that's, that's our only options up there usually. So, yes, that's the plan. Thank you guys for coming and being concerned, and hopefully we'll learn from this animal for future cases and find out what was wrong with it and see what stock of humpback whales it comes from. So there's different ones that are up and down the coast, and we'll figure out, do genetics and see where it belongs.
Is there a pod of the humpback that is
Yeah, there are. I don't think they call them. I think they're like stocks, and they have different genetic characteristics, and they have some that go in different parts, like some in Hawaii, some in Mexico, some in Costa Rica.
So there may be a family out there.
I don't. If it's weaned, then probably not. Mom's already gone on. But if it was a not quite weaned, like maybe it was a couple weeks away, then it would. She might have just left it, or if she couldn't find it, it got separated somehow. We just don't know, what the circumstances are. But this could be a really early weaned animal. We just don't know for sure. And we'll find out more when we do the autopsy.
When they are ill, do the family members kind of push them off?
I don't know. That's a good question. I know the kill rails they do, but I don't know about these guys. I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah.
About an hour ago, I saw its mouth opened up wide, its tail was moving. What was going on?
Got a little bit of water too close to the blowhole when it was getting wet. So it kind of like you get water up your nose when you dive, and so it was trying to clear that out. It didn't like that.
So it was not an intentional?
No. We just got a little bit, because it was, the water I think sloped down and got a little bit into the blowhole there, and so it's sprayed it out. Yeah. Great. All right, well thank you guys, and we're gonna get to work. Thank you.
Do you need information later about what the plans are